come on, let's do this. This one might be a little bit shorter than normal. Also, the reason I'm doing it today is because I have some stuff coming tomorrow. In any case, it's kind of a weird thing where a person who's in a scenario where they already want to do a thing, and they're just looking for some sort of flimsy excuse to do that thing, they'll come up with what is effectively a contrived line in the sand. An arbitrary or specious distinction / delineation in order to justify doing the thing they already wanted to do, if that makes sense. I think I was kind of thinking about it because of the recent quartering drama that's been happening on Twitter / YouTube / whatever. Not for the record, I don't know if this exactly describes the scenario, but it feels like it's kind of in that category a little bit. Also, I'm not for sure if I've done a video on this or not. Feel free to say or don't say whether I've done a video on it. Only if it becomes really annoying, then you can comment about it. But technically, any comments are good as well. So feel free to be as annoyed as you like in the comment section. Anyways, moving on. There's some videos to look at, and maybe a game to play. We'll see about that part. Maybe I'll leave that part out, but all right. All right. Let's go. A Diddy Deep Dive by Oompaville. Well, you know what?
Ain't no party!
I think I want to look at the first one. I'll leave the Diddy Deep Dive. If we like it, we can do another part later. By Oompaville. Diddy is Genuinely Evil by Oompaville.
Like a Diddy party!
For the record, I'm pretty sure that's effects.
It's
The gun might be real, but the effects are fake.
real. I'm just playing. Frankie loves Diddy parties. She's a freak. She's gonna go to jail soon. That's what we've been hearing from people for years.
It's like the West Coast Epstein. I guess I don't know what coast Epstein was on. He's probably kind of fully continental. Transcontinental? Transcontinental. Diddy was mostly American, I imagine.
It's not about Frankie, but that there ain't no party like a Diddy party.
I just came back from one of the Diddy parties, Shen. You should have been there. It was dick and balls everywhere, Shen. Where was this phone?
Sorry, I'll probably try to cut some of that stuff out.
Nah, Shen, you should come to the Diddy party next time, B.
You have to go to Diddy parties. They're the best parties in all of Hollywood. Diddy got a yacht, all right? Get on the yacht.
Man, you doing it, man. You deserve it, Daddy. You putting in that work. Proud of you. I love you.
But it seems like Diddy's a piece of shit that is now in jail. Thank you to
Not for long, apparently.
Opera GX for sponsoring this video. Let's talk about browsers. Most of them boring, but no, not Opera GX. This browser is built for gamers, and it's packed with some crazy awesome features that will make you wonder why you settled for anything less ever. First up, GX Mods. You can completely transform your browser with just one click. You want to make your browser feel like an old school arcade? How about make fart sounds whenever you click things, or falling metal pipes? How about that, guys? Everybody's a little strange.
Just kind of weird, honestly. Almost, I should try it sometime, but yeah.
Or how about this? A Sour Boys theme. There's even a Sour Boys theme. Store so is about keeping all your favorite apps close, etc., etc. Plus, if you're ready to make the switch from any of those other browsers, there's a quick import tool that.
Again, I literally thought this guy's hair would be blonde or something. I don't know if he dyes it or something, because his mustache looks kind of blondish, or at least not this black. I'm not sure what's going on here.
Actually does swap everything over quickly and effectively and efficiently. It's pretty good. On top of that, Chrome extensions are also compatible with Opera GX, so there's no reason to not give it a try. Take your old boring browser app back and bury that sumbitch. Opera GX for sponsoring this video.
From his $48 million Miami mansion to hell on earth where chaos reigns. Just some of the words used to describe the Metropolitan Detention Center where Sean Diddy Combs is now being held without bail after pleading not guilty to sex trafficking.
I'm just saying, I feel like a freak like him might.
Trafficking and racketeering charges.
I've made a couple videos on the situation, and one of my videos was taken down. It was taken down for like no reason, and I still haven't gotten
P. Diddler.
a full valid reason, so I'm really invested in this story, and I believe that there are powers that be sort of covering up, manipulating things.
You know, like, that's kind of one of the things that is a little bit like. Again, I tend to think the government like is terrible at keeping secrets, so the people who are probably involved with Diddy, you probably either already know about or, you know, at least suspect or something. But it does feel like there are people who might be tapping shoulders or crap like that in order to keep things on the low. Excuse me.
Especially, and we'll see how this video goes. I'm not saying YouTube is doing anything because I love Mama YouTube and I don't want to, you know, bite the hand that feeds or whatever, but also like I don't give that much of a shit. Diddy has done lots of horrible things to apparently lots and lots and lots of people. There's a lot of lube.
I mean, there's a Costco right down the street. You know, I think Americans buy in bulk, as we know. And you know, this is consensual adults doing what consensual adults do.
There's insane crimes.
Doesn't make it not gross.
All of them committed by Sean Combs
Or sinful.
aka Puff Daddy.
We
Hedonists.
believe
Lecherous.
that victims should not be shamed, and instead those who committed
Bring back shame.
the criminal acts
Oh, sorry. Not on the victims. On Diddy. Just for the record.
against them should be ashamed and take responsibility for the harm that they have caused victims to suffer.
So, firstly, we'll talk about the arrest. After all the stuff started coming out on Diddy, which is now basically outdated information. By the way, YouTube took down one of my videos. I mentioned that. That's insane. Still haven't had any kind of valid explanation for that. My strike just expired. I could have had my channel deleted over some bullshit. My last email providing context to them was the following, where I said nothing sexual intimate. I posted a bunch of videos from some of my friends, some people around YouTube, and finally one from John Oliver where he puts, this is the same exact thing that was in my video. Literally two people kissing in a sexual way. Got a few videos talking about the situation, but I had one real...
I don't know, like, what is the appeal? Like, if anyone out there actually watches John Oliver, what is the appeal of that limey bastard? Like, I literally don't know. It apparently gets, like, millions of views. I don't know if it's just, like, a holdover from his, like, TV days or something, that he has, like, a loyal audience from that. It just feels like I cannot imagine anyone wanting to watch that pompous little git. He's so ostentatiously. I'm sorry. I just don't like him.
big video talking about...
For the record, I liked him in The Community when he was acting in that. And maybe he's a good actor or comedian, or was back in the day. Everything goes wrong when they go to Hollywood. No, I don't know. I just feel like if you get in the certain types of friend circles, you develop the right sort of politics as a kind of a come along effect.
Everything that Diddy had done, but YouTube decided to take it down for whatever reason. The excuse was because there was some nudity in the video.
Sense of discretion. That's what they develop. Safe edgy?
But there was not, and I have emails of them admitting that there was not any nudity. Policy guy said, this is a fair point. Let me check with our policy team to see what their stance is here. They then responded a couple...
Also, it feels like, I don't know, the whole notion of like AI stuff on YouTube, completely divergent point from what I was talking about before, for the record. But the whole policy thing of YouTube is involving like AI flagging. I don't know if I like it, just in general. It feels like it's, well, to be fair, it might be more efficient and it might be better at getting bad stuff out of the way. So if that's the price, I guess maybe I'm willing to pay that, but it just kind of... you hear lots of stories about people getting false flagged for stuff that doesn't really warrant it at all. But admittedly, maybe like the good stuff you never really hear about, so I don't know.
Couple days later with this. I've shared your thoughts with our policy team, but after additional extensive review, they've decided that the video does violate the policy as written and to maintain the strike at this time. Unfortunately, we're not able to share additional specifics on the decision-making process. The official word is as follows. After reviewing the video that you appealed, we found that it violates our nudity and sexual content policy. We removed the video because it shows non-consensual sexual acts or unwanted sexualization. It is not unwanted sexualization at all. I have a feeling they could just say they made a mistake and own up to deleting the video, but alas, it's gone. They're not going to do that.
And again, the premise is, okay, so he's taking stuff from other people's videos. Like, are those other people's videos getting taken down? It's like, it feels like if you're pulling over speeders, then you take out the first speeder in line, not the third one.
Anyway, now Diddy's in jail, so who's laughing now?
Again, not for long, apparently. Not for long enough, in my opinion.
Me? Because I love laughing. I'm a lighthearted guy. You need to stop.
Pugs are adorable, but it feels like they're almost a little bit like sheep. Like, how do they ever become a thing? It feels like they only really could have become a thing if they were kind of the dogs of the wealthy or well-to-do. Because they're complete idiots. We had one at one point. It was a full-on idiot. Hilarious as all get out, but inbred to high heavens, I imagine.
You're very disappointed. Anywho, let's go over some of the events that have occurred that have led to Diddy's arrest, all right? The big accusation against Diddy was by his ex, Cassie, on November 16th, 2023. Cassie is a singer who is insanely popular in the early 2000s.
You've been waiting so long, I'm here to answer you.
Her over the course of their relationship.
R&B singer Cassie has accused hip-hop mogul...
Okay, what's R&B? Like, is it rap and something?
Sean Diddy Combs of...
And how does that differ from hip-hop?
And a decade of physical abuse. The two were romantically involved for years, but in a lawsuit made public today, Cassie says there was a pattern of control, drug use, and forced sexual encounters.
She also included allegations of sex trafficking and...
Just for the record, nothing ever comes for free. Ever, pretty much. Ever. No, I think there are sometimes people who do stuff out of the goodness of their heart, but almost always, like, it... Yeah.
Domestic violence, just overall, just toss that on there as well, because the dude's a freak. She demanded a settlement of around $30 million, and only a day later, on November 17th, the lawsuit was settled. It's crazy how quickly that lawsuit was resolved after the threats the day before.
Dang, she bent him over and saddled his behind. No.
She also said that she wanted to make a book to air out all of Diddy's dirty laundry. So it's like this whole big, giant domino that's gonna have everything come crashing down, and it has been. But the $30 million settlement.
Well, this, like, I guess that's maybe a point to be made. Even if Diddy does get out of prison without, kind of scot-free, his time as a golden boy of sorts is going to be, I think, quite a lot less. His star has fallen, if that makes sense.
Did occur, and there were mutual and amicable terms, and the lawsuit was dropped and was completely resolved, with Diddy's team ultimately stating that a resolution of said lawsuit does not mean an admission of guilt. To me, it does. I'm a legal expert, all right? It seems bad, though. It's like, you want to settle? Okay.
That's kind of like, it either means that they're guilty or that it looked bad enough that they were willing to pay that. Like, there was enough evidence in favor of his guilt that they were willing to shell out, like, yeah, I don't know.
That's weird. Let's just settle. I'm a freak. And now he's in jail.
Not technically, but sort of. Means that they're guilty-ish.
Also, it's like, pretty clear.
Overnight, hip-hop mogul Sean Combs settling a bombshell sexual abuse lawsuit filed by his ex-girlfriend, fellow singer Cassie. Cassandra Ventura writing in a statement, "I have decided to resolve this matter amicably."
Who's the dude? I thought he used to be some sort of wrestler or something. Not Ace Ventura, that's the movie, right? I thought there was some dude who'd had some sort of beef with Chris Kyle before he died or something like that.
On terms that I have some level of control. I want to thank my family, fans, and lawyers for their unwavering support.
But anyway, still November 2023, fast forward to November 23rd. Diddy is accused yet again of sexual assault by a different woman. This woman was named Joy Dickerson Neal, who accused him of drugging.
Give me a second. All right, we're back.
And R-wording her when she...
What the, Harry? Since when is that a way to spell joy? I mean, it's a typo.
He was a college student in 1991, so a long time ago.
Sorry. I'm not proud of knowing what that means, but like joy... It's kind of a rude name, all told. All in all.
Diddy denied those claims, and
what kind of name is Diddy, too? Everything sounds like double entendre.
Another woman, yet again, the same day, accused him of more. This time, sexual assault, and again, Diddy rejects the claims. December 6th rolls around, and another woman accuses Diddy of sexual assault and gang R-word as well. And she states that she was 17 at the time. Diddy, unsurprisingly, denies the claims again, and he makes a video the same day saying, "Enough is enough." He stated that his character has been vicious.
You know, something that has been lost in the recent years of sensitivity is white people trying to be black, which is one of the most hilarious cringe humors ever. Like white people trying to be ethnic or cool, I guess. Another way to put it. It's terribly underrated comedy in general.
Viciously attacked, and that these accusations will destroy his reputation. His reputation for being a freak picking pimp, because that's kind of like what it...
Pretty sure he said something trafficking, allegedly, I guess.
His reputation is now. So maybe I don't know what his reputation was before, but that's what it is now.
I feel like, with regards to the court case, I feel like he kind of got off on the barest sort of technically not trafficking or something like that. But it's true in all but litigious fact.
So we creep forward into 2024, and on February 26th, Diddy was accused again, this time by a record producer. This is the one that we covered in the video. It was a fellow named Lil Rod.
Multiple lawsuits have been filed
What is with all these names, dude?
Against Combs, including one by music producer Rodney Jones. Jones alleges sex trafficking and sexual assault, also mentioning underage girls in the 79-page lawsuit. Claims made by Jones include hidden cameras in the rap mogul's home, saying, quote, Mr. Combs allegedly threatened to eat Mr. Jones's face in order to get what he wants.
One of Diddy's former producers / videographers, this man filed a lawsuit against Diddy stating he was also drugged and sexually harassed.
Producer Lil Rod, whose given name is Rodney Jones, has now accused Sean Diddy.
Let me double check here and make sure all this stuff is... Yeah. We're tickety-boo. All right.
Combs of operating a racketeering enterprise, groping him, forcing him to engage in sexual acts with sex workers, and lacing alcohol for the guests in his home, including underage girls.
Lacing alcohol with what?
And this was the straw that seemed to have broken the camel's back. There was some legit action as a result of this that was taken against Diddy. And in March of 2024, Diddy's house was raided by the feds, and there were many people taken into custody.
Breaking news, the Department of Homeland Security has just confirmed to CNN that federal law enforcement agents have raided properties owned by musician and producer Sean Diddy Combs.
The home was registered to Bad Boy Entertainment and was also registered to one of P. Diddy's daughters. So despite it not being registered to his name directly, it was still associated with him, obviously. This was the Los Angeles mansion in Holmby Hills. His other mansion in Miami was also raided.
Authorities not confirming very much beyond the fact that this is part of an ongoing investigation started by Homeland Security investigations in the state of New York. Behind me.
What does Homeland Security actually do? I guess maybe sex trafficking would be one of their kind of areas of expertise or something like that, or suspected sex trafficking.
That is the entrance to Star Island. You can see the Miami Beach police car there at the entrance. If you look to your right, you can see this is where the Homeland Security investigations are set up with their command post.
I was so excited, dude. I thought he was going to go right to jail, but no. People were saying he left the country and he fled and he went down to Aruba and all this different stuff.
Photos obtained by...
Your TMZ has been doing interesting stuff. Sorry, I just seen the news thing there. TMZ has been having fun in Washington, D.C. recently.
ABC News capturing Combs's Love Air...
Okay, that's kind of a dope plane, I will admit. Very cool plane.
Jet in Antigua. No information about who, if any...
Love Jet isn't a lame name, though.
Anyone was on the plane.
I don't know, man. Pretty wild stuff, though. Pretty wild. From what we could gather at the time, the feds that raided his home collected evidence such as electronics and possibly even more, but there wasn't much that the public knew at that time.
And so they're looking for something to corroborate the belief that they have that a crime did occur. And as you pointed out earlier, he's facing multiple allegations of trafficking. So perhaps that is the crime in which they're investigating. Perhaps that is what they're trying to seek.
Yeah, I've gotten the idea that this was maybe a little bit bungled, like the court case that is, which is why he got off. Or maybe he just had really good lawyers, which is why he got off. I don't know. Or maybe it was kind of, yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's just loopholes. Maybe a mixture of all three.
More information from, but in order to search a home, you have to have probable cause. The only question is, probable cause of what?
However, later, we would find out how horrifying the stuff that they actually found was, and that was just a couple weeks ago when all this came out, and we'll get back to this a little bit later. We're still earlier this year.
New surveillance video shows Combs being taken into custody in a Manhattan hotel last week.
As time goes on, things are getting worse for Diddy, and in May of 2024, a video surfaced of Diddy grabbing, hitting, and kicking Cassie, the woman.
See, I feel like that, more than anything else, is kind of a killer for, like, that's the phrase, I think I stole it from a Isaac Asimov book. Sometimes tradition can be the higher law. In this case, sometimes public opinion can be or rather the destruction of public image can be a greater sentencing, a greater consequence, I guess, than the actual court thingy.
Who had accused him all of those years ago of being abusive towards her.
Disturbing video has surfaced appearing to show music mogul Sean Diddy Combs beating his ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura in 2016 in Los Angeles.
This is way back in 2023 when she accused him, and the video was originally from 2016 and finally brought to light in 2024, even after a settlement.
New surveillance footage obtained exclusively by CNN appears to corroborate some of the allegations of abuse against music mogul Sean Diddy Combs.
So, it's
naked and I think I would have the courage to run around in a towel and beat the crap out of people.
Showed that the lawsuit that was thrown Diddy's way had genuine substance, and even though we settled that there's no admission of guilt, the video of him beating her is, you don't really need an admission of guilt. That's just guilt. And
that's kind of a little, especially given the time it was probably recorded in, it's kind of a little bit proof positive. in and of itself.
The form of video.
Rather, very compelling in any case.
Mr. Combs certainly deserves his day in court and the presumption of innocence, but it is hard to deny the behavior that's caught on video and that is making news today.
That being said, that lawsuit had already been settled for hopefully a shit ton of money. And at this point, Diddy's reputation is gone down the gutter thanks to the release of the footage. It's like actual real
Huzzah.
Legit evidence that this man is a piece of shit. And it sort of corroborates everything else that people are throwing his way. Diddy was very embarrassed by these poor actions. He went to Instagram to apologize for his poor behavior in some wicker roof. I hate that video. It's so weird. He looks like a demon. I don't like this guy. I don't like Diddy.
You're gonna blackmail a demon? Racist. Yeah, he does come off as kind of sinister here. Like a South African warlord. Are there warlords in South Africa? No, Rwandan warlord? Is that better? Is it less offensive?
Diddy, I don't like Diddy, okay?
My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video.
Then a few months go by and we get to September 2024 when things finally come to light. On September 16th, 2024, Diddy was indicted and arrested in the New York City Manhattan Hotel, or the Manhattan Hotel in New York City. I'm not exactly sure.
This morning, watch how federal agents took Sean Diddy Combs into custody. He's seen in this video entering the Park Hyatt Hotel in Midtown Manhattan with others when agents from Homeland Security Investigations approach and separate him. They place Combs under arrest and lead him out the front door in handcuffs.
Apparently, Mr. Diddy had been in New York for over 2 weeks, and he stated that he was there to turn himself in, which is like trying to get in the good graces of the judge. Well, Judge, I was staying at the Manhattan Hotel in a pimp suite, and I was just like feeling guilty about all the stuff I had done, so maybe you could let me off with a warning.
Sorry. For the record, I'm okay with puns as long as they are somewhat original, but it feels like I don't know, if they're obvious, then it's just kind of
Cause I'm sorry.
As soon as we realized that this indictment was going to be coming down in a matter of weeks, maybe months, but sometime soon, Mr. Combs got on a plane, left his home in Florida, flew to New York.
This woman looks strange. You know, there's honestly a whole category of women that, like, I don't know.
New York. I called the prosecutors myself.
Later, maybe.
I said, Mr. Combs is in New York. Do you want to know where he is? If you want to know where he is, I'll tell you where he is, but he wants to surrender.
To jail with you. Suicide watch. Kind of odd to wait that long, but he did, and a day earlier he was seen out with his family chilling. Not a care in the world. And now he's gone from a beautiful mansion and the top of the world to jail.
From a life of parties and open bars to life now behind bars.
Does he have something inlaid in his tooth or something? Or is that just something in the picture? I don't know.
The past week, P. Diddy has seen some major lifestyle changes. And now we're getting reports that Diddy isn't eating while in jail.
Womp womp. Hey man, sorry, don't give a rot. Easy now. The next day,
those weren't real.
Finally got to learn what was found at the scene of the crime when the feds raided his homes in Florida and California. The indictment was unsealed September 17th, and mother of God, it is gold. Crazy, crazy gold. Not only did we get to hear the word freak-offs used in an official report,
huzzah,
but we also learned what was going on inside of Mr. Didrik's house.
As I mentioned, Combs has been charged with RICO conspiracy.
What the RICO conspiracy?
To use his business and employees of that business and other close associates to get his way. Those individuals allegedly included high-ranking supervisors.
I've heard of like RICO violations or something like that. I wonder if it has something to do with like coercive employee behavior or policies.
The business, personal assistants, security staff, and household staff. The indictment,
maybe it's just like labor law or something like that,
and alleges that those individuals facilitated the freak-offs. They booked the hotel rooms and stocked them with the supplies, including drugs, baby oil, personal lubricant, extra linens, and lighting.
Apparently, there was over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lube. 1,000!
According to the indictment against Diddy, investigators seized more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant from his home. The court doc states these items were used in something referred to as freak-offs, which were elaborate and produced sex performances that Combs arranged, directed, masturbated during, and often electronically recorded.
How delightful.
Know how that's possible, and we don't have any
I try not to be a judgy person, but it's hard not to be judgy in this scenario.
pictures of this or proof outside of this official document, but there's supposedly a real video of it, and it's definitely AI. 100.
Sweet glory.
10%. There's 1,000 bottles of lube and baby oil. How's that even? What is the point of that? Why do you need so much? What's going on? I don't understand.
The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial sex workers, and often involved a variety of narcotics, such as ketamine, ecstasy, and GHB, which Combs distributed to the victims to keep them obedient and compliant.
However, one user put 1,000 baby bottles into Blender to give you an idea of what it looks like. It's insane. He even had IV drips to rehydrate people after his Diddy freak-offs, and holy shit, that's crazy.
All right, full-on degenerate, we get it. We can check out the rest if you want. Diddy is Genuinely Evil by Oompaville.
I quit porn, gaming, and...
And we're back. For the record, Healthy Gamers has actually done a video, I'm thinking last week or something, on the advent of gay conversion therapy or something, or not the advent, the Supreme Court's overturn of gay conversion therapy. And I was like this close to talking about that, but I feel like I've already kind of made my feelings about that type of thing kind of known, so you guys don't need to hear that again. For the record, the rest, I keep saying for the record, dang it, I'm gonna figure this out. But I guess with regards to conversion therapy, it's kind of like, if it's not like, if it doesn't involve some sort of experimental biological thing where you're hooking electrodes up to something, it's like, okay, fine if you want to do something. I tend to think just at best, like, I don't want to throw shade on anyone who feels like they've been helped by it, but at best it feels like it's well-meaning drivel. At worst, it's a golden opportunity for grifters to take advantage of people who hate themselves, which is not healthy. I said this, I think, in my other video, like, I don't think people are monsters for being what they are or feeling how they feel. That being said, I don't think all behaviors are healthy. I guess any doctor would probably tell you that gay, straight, or S&M, whatever you're into, taking parts of your body that aren't meant for sex, using them for sex, is not healthy, just on balance. But, yeah. Enough drivel. Alright. Why Giving Up Addiction Feels Impossible by Dr. K.
I quit porn, gaming, and every dopamine hit, and now nothing makes me happy anymore. Has anyone else felt that void? So one of the...
It's one of those things where, like, you almost have to fill something up, like, to get rid of it and to be functional afterwards. You kind of have to have some other stuff to do. So I don't know if, like, the notion of getting rid of everything.
Most bizarre lessons I've learned working in addiction psychiatry is sobriety does not fix addiction. You know, when I was, like, training, I would have patients...
I think that might be where it's going with it. You almost need something else to fill that. It's like a... You know that thing of Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull? He's kind of weighing out a bag of sand, and then obviously it doesn't work, but that's kind of the idea, I tend to think. A straight swap, if you can.
Would he fucking shoot up heroin? And I was in Boston, so there was a lot of K2 usage, which is like synthetic marijuana, right? So a lot of opioid addiction, a lot of K2 addiction, a lot of Adderall addiction, marijuana addiction, alcohol addiction, right? And so, like, we have this idea.
I've heard a thing, like, that streamers, a lot of them use Adderall. Which, like, I guess, whatever floats your boat. Maybe it's less bad than some of this stuff. You know that Clavicular had just OD'd recently. That guy who's been everywhere and recently here. Looks maxing. Mogging. I think I'd done a video on him. while back. Yeah. And well, he's still alive, but he'd almost he'd overdosed on something. I'm not for sure what though.
Yeah. That.
And I don't know whether he's learned a lesson or not. So hopefully he's learned a lesson.
Okay, so if you're using substances and it's messing up your life, the way to fix that is to stop using substances. Like, makes sense. Like, sobriety's great. But then I had like a problem with my patients, or my patients had a problem, which is that even after they do all the behavioral stuff to to attain sobriety, sometimes they're left like this, which is like, yes, I'm sober. And being sober is like better than using, because when I was using, my life was a mess. I was homeless, like, you know, running out of money, on probation at work. Like I had nowhere to live. Like I was.
That's kind of the problem in general with like an overwhelming sort of desire, is that it comes at the expense of every other part of your life in general. It's one of those things where you what's the golden mean? I believe that's the phrase used. I think that's Aristotle or something. Is it virtue is the balance between two vices? Something like that.
Just bombing money off of people.
Maybe I'm completely misquoting all of that.
And like, you know,
I'm not for sure though. The golden mean part, at least. I'm not sure if that might be something. I'm not for sure.
You know, my parents, like, I was like bad to move back in with my parents, and like, so life, when you're like a bad addict, my life was empty. I wasn't progressing in life. I have all these goals. I'm not moving towards them. I'm kind of stuck in this mess. And so it's like, okay, bro, get sober. But then people get this other problem, which is after they're sober, life doesn't feel fun. And so, like, in some ways it's better to be sober, but it's also
start doing pranks or something.
So like there's something missing when you're sober.
Or taking the piss out of people. That's kind of my thing. For the record, I've never been addicted to something per se. At least I've never had like some sort of chemical dependency. But I do like picking on people. It's kind of my most favorite pastime. A little bit. I think less so these days. Actually, more so probably when I was younger. I actually liked picking on people. But these days I still enjoy it. The only people I don't pick on is motherly types in general. I feel like that's a good line to have.
The joy, the zest, everything feels great. It's just not as fun. And so there's almost this like post-sobriety depression that some of my patients would go through. And this is where I love neurobiology perspectives on addiction and stuff like that, but this is where I think there's some cool stuff.
It's like I tend not to like neurobiology on stuff, like, 'cause it feels like it kind of almost subverts the very notion of the experience itself. It's like you're breaking it down into really fundamental parts, and like the notion of being in love. Like, it feels like sometimes you just have to exist in the experience itself, and sometimes that empirical sort of control is almost to be preferred to the more fundamental isolate type of way of describing it, I tend to think. It just feels like sometimes like describing things in really fundamental terms, in terms of like mechanics rather than the experience itself, it leaves one wanting. Like if a girl asks you if you love her, she doesn't want a description of the neuroscientific behavior that's happening in your brain. She wants you to talk about it in emotional terms. And talking about it in scientific terms kind of takes away from the experience itself, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's balderdash, but that's kind of how it feels.
Off from the field of psychology. And this is not just a problem with people who become sober. So I don't know if you guys had this kind of growing up. So I
don't think this is necessarily just with regards to emotions or stuff like that. Generally speaking, if you discuss a topic in language not really meant for that topic, it can often have an adverse effect on like your perception of it or something. Like it almost subverts it.
Grew up in a small town in Texas, and there were people who like peaked in high school. Like this guy was like, homecoming king, quarterback for the high school football team, kind of peaked in high school, sort of went to college, got a scholarship, wasn't good enough, sort of washed out, and then he's like trying to reclaim that former glory.
Living in the, yeah.
Another good example of this is someone who gets caught up with the one who got away. Had a relationship, everything was fine. The relationship ends, this person moves on with their life, and my patient is stuck. They can't move on. So this is like a problem where, I don't know if this kind of makes sense. Some human beings have something in their life that they really love. And then when that thing ends, they feel empty. And so we're going to talk about fundamentally moving on. So if you're someone who...
Well, I think some of that can literally just have to do with the intensity of the experience itself. Because like, with regards to that type of thing, you can have like a really intense experience with a person. And then when that thing ends, everything else by contrast to that one perfect moment, that one perfect part of your life, seems insipid and meaningless and nothing by contrast to it. So you're thinking back on those times with like, how do I get back there? How do I feel that way again? Because that felt like real life there. That felt like that was what life is really supposed to be like. So maybe that's the way people get stuck in the past like that or something.
Has difficulty moving on, right? And by sobriety, and this is like kind of what I mean about addiction is, and y'all kind of know what I'm talking about if you've been addicted to something, which is that like the high of that thing is so good and you go chasing it. Even after you're sober, you're like, how do I find that zest? And people will tell me, and I have patients who do all the right stuff, right? I'm telling them, meditate, because meditate brings joy and inner peace. Meditate more, you'll find bliss. Blissed out, baby. Let's get blissed.
Am I allowed to do an Indian accent here?
Right, and people used to do like LSD or psilocybin or things like that, and they're like...
So like, I have wondered if the people who are the most like crazy ambitious are that type of person, where they had like something that was really intense in their life, some sort of experience, and they're kind of chasing that again. And people who are content with a more mundane sort of existence, maybe they've never had that experience. I imagine it would be like pretty closely correlated to like pain and stuff in people's lives, because you think of the people who are like the most creative, who are the most inventive, and who do the most good for the world. They're quite often those individuals who had like a really shitty existence, like something really terrible happened to them, and because of that, they're almost they're like, I don't know, maybe like it feels like there's almost a correlation there.
Hey, I've heard that meditation can have these spiritual experiences too. So let me try that. Let me go to Dr. K, and Dr. K is going to teach me this esoteric meditation. And then I'm going to have these spiritual experiences. And then it'll be like I'm back to LSD or psilocybin without having LSD or psilocybin. The core thing is you want to go back to that thing, that feeling. And then the problem is you look for other things, right? You're like, how do I find joy without drugs? Like, what game is going to give me scratch that itch?
Well, that's kind of the problem. Like, those really intense experiences, like I said, I feel like those addictions, they come at the cost of everything else in your life. But is it worth everything else in your life to do that? Obviously not. But I feel like once, like, in that moment, it feels like it's everything to you. Because it's that intense. By contrast, all this other stuff, it's nothing. There's just this one really intense experience. And it feels like once you get out of that, like, I guess the question would be, maybe you have to find that meaning in a whole bunch of other things rather than something else of equal intensity, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know.
And nothing does. No person lives up to the one who got away, right? Some studies show that crystal meth. You guys want to know why people get addicted to crystal meth? It increases dopamine transmission by 1,000 to 10,000 times normal.
Sweet glory.
Dopamine transmission in your pleasure circuits in the brain. And then we're looking for something like that. When people hear about our coaching program, their first response is usually, why would I work with another human being? when I can watch YouTube videos all on my own. Working with a coach is about amplifying your time and effort. We're great at wanting things and even making some progress, but we usually struggle with follow-through or have some kind of setback. And that's exactly where working with a coach can help. Coaches provide personalized support to help you set your weird fundamental in the description below to see if coaching is right for you. This is a weird, fundamental, psychological thing. But if you are someone who's fundamentally stuck and looking for life to have zest, we're going to go back to our boy, the one...
See, and again, I feel like that, maybe not again, I feel like that type of like intensity of experience cannot possibly be sustainable. It cannot be healthy over a long period of time. Because, like, maybe because of everything that goes along with it, or just the neural load it would place upon your brain in general. It cannot be something that's actually a stable model for existence. It feels like your life writ large should be more balanced. It should be more eclectic, I guess, in the pleasures that you find. And to me, that's a healthier type of thing.
The Sigmund. Okay? This is from his original paper of Mourning and Melancholia. And I want to read y'all something, okay? So
that dude was a perv, for the record. I tend to think.
I'll explain this because it's Freudian language, which is hard to understand. Reality
what was this? Research is research. That's not always true, but I feel like in his case, I don't know, some of the stuff he came up with, I don't trust it.
Testing has shown that the loved object no longer exists, and it proceeds to demand that all libido shall be withdrawn from its attachments to that object. The demand arouses understandable opposition. It is a matter of general observation that people never willingly abandon a libidinal position, not even indeed when a substitute is already beckoning them. Let's talk about libidinal energy. Here's you. So here is the object.
Give me a second.
Let's say winning at Gamba, THC, meth. So here's like, okay, this is like some fucking fundamental psychological stuff, okay? But I really want to try to explain it, and I'm going to try. So here's you, and here's some object outside of you. And then what happens is this object brings you joy. So then what happens is you invest in this object. You have this fundamental...
Become kind of entangled in it.
Energy. So the libidinal energy is the energy of like enjoyment and emotional investment. So if you guys think about something...
So you wonder if like pain would be like kind of antithetical to that. It gets you to disconnect from the thing involved, or gets you to try to Well, I don't actually know about that. People say in abusive relationships, so I'm not entirely sure. Strange sort of thought.
Something that you're like addicted to. You're emotionally invested. You have a relationship with that thing, right? So it's like the game or the gambling or the weed is how I feel alive. It's how I feel joy. Like I'm invested in this thing. This thing is the source. It's where I put my joyful energy and my emotional engagement, right? And I don't know if this kind of makes sense, but when you're like really into drugs, there's all kinds of other shit that you're just not invested in. There's your job, there's your family, sometimes there's even your lover.
See, and that's the thing. I feel like all of these things would be one part of what would create like a well-balanced kind of personal experience. But you have this one thing that's so high intensity that it makes all of this seem ridiculous. So it's a wonderful diagram. Thank you, Dr. K. Yeah.
Right, and you're just not...
Probably a better way of explaining it than I have, as visual learning involved.
It's not where your mind is, it's not where your energy is, it's not where your investment is. You're just like, you're an addict, so this is what you're thinking about all the time.
Well, again, like I think it has to do with that level of intensity of this connection here. In your mind, when you think about the phrase nothing, there are a couple different definitions for nothing, like a non-existent entity, But one of them has to do with a non-significant entity, something that exists but that lacks significance in your mind. And when you have a super intense connection to a thing or a super intense experience, it makes all of this seem like it's nothing in your head. Like, it's not rational. And people who are in these types of things, they do things that are completely irrational because they're so intensely, like, what they're feeling is just this.
Now, here's the really messed up thing. When this thing goes away, and this paper is about mourning and melancholia, right? So he's talking about mourning. So this can even be a person. So this can be, my glory days as a football star. This can be the one who got away. All this stuff is kind of the same. It is the fundamental energy of investment into a thing, the thing that we get attached to, the thing that brings us joy and pleasure. Do y'all see how this is like all kind of one thing? Now, here's the problem. When this thing goes away, when this person dies, when the football career ends, the one who got away gets remarried, even though this thing is gone, our emotional energy is still stuck in this pipeline because you think about it. And then once these things are gone, we look for other things. Like, okay, meditation. Can I get meditation to fit in here? We look for, fundamentally, we always look for a replacement of that thing. That's the key thing. We want to replace that thing. We don't want something else. We only want that thing. I'm looking for my former glory. I don't want a new glory. I want the former glory. I don't want to listen. I don't want to enjoy music in this way, in this white noise way.
Yeah, again, I don't think that this whole level of intensity cannot be healthy in my mind.
I want to enjoy music in that way. Like the feeling of drugs when they hit, baby. You know what I'm talking about? When it hits. When it hits.
I do not, for the record, but yeah. I imagine they're parallel things. I guess no, I don't even know. I don't know. I don't think I want to know. I feel like I'm the type of person who would become very easily addicted to stuff like that.
And
And just in general, I don't I don't even take medication really.
Oh, you are in for a good.
I don't like stuff that messes with my head.
Time. Yeah. Chasing the dragon.
Sorry, I will try to cut some of this stuff out.
Again. Oh my God, it's been so long since I've been sober. Oh my God, I've been sober for 6 months. And I relapsed. Oh, thank God. Let's go. Oh my God, all my receptors are back to baseline. I have no...
I'm gonna stop saying that. Stupid. But I do tend to think that there would be... Most people would have something that's kind of a little bit parallel, even if it's not like a chemical dependency. There would be kind of naturally occurring things like falling in love or something like that. So most of us, I think, could relate to this type of thing to some extent. Now, hopefully you get out of it, and hopefully it's not as detrimental as some sort of junkie shooting up stuff on the side of the highway. But, yeah, I think there would be, like, some level of, like, that thing would probably be, like, a standard deviation further along that road, but, yeah. I think we could probably, most of us would have an idea of what that's like.
Tolerance anymore. Oh my God, I relapsed. It feels so fucking good. Even when I was sober, right? I was still attached to this. I was looking for the replacement, baby. I was looking for the replacement and nothing. I tried to get this thing to fit in there and it didn't fit. And I tried to get this thing to fit and it does fit inside, but it's only this small. I want this whole space, man. Come on. I want that love again, right? So even though we're sober, even though we're single, even though we're healthy, our fundamental investment is still here. Make sense? So the demand arouses an understandable opposition. It is a matter of general observation that people will never willingly abandon a libidinal position. Okay? What is...
An oversimplification, maybe. Who am I to question the great Sigmund Freud?
That mean? That means that once this shit is over here, I'm not going to give this up. I don't want to give this up. Because if I abandon this position, then all this stuff is just in here and this doesn't feel good. There's no libidinal attachment to anything. Like it's just empty. right? So I want to find a replacement. I don't want to just have nothing because I have no attachment over here, no attachment over here, no attachment over here. So it's just like if I just give up drugs, then I've got nothing. The opposition can be so intense that turning away from reality takes place and clinging to the object through the medium of a hallucinatory wishful psychosis. Now, what the hell does that mean? That
fantasy
means that even though we know this is gone, right? Oh, like the one that got away, he's married now. This is gone and never coming back. We are still hoping. We are still looking for a substitute. Even though it's gone. Even though it's gone. Even though we're sober now, we're still hunting for something in here. We don't want to give it up. You guys know what I mean? Like if you're sober, you still don't want to give it up. And this is why people say, hi, my name is Olo.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting, so we might go a little bit.
Alcoholic. My last drink was 32 years ago, and
It's a bit interesting, so we might go a little bit further, but not much.
I'm still an alcoholic. What does that mean? Is it?
That's kind of an interesting notion. Like, see, I feel like it's different with alcoholics or addicts in some level, because like if a person commits murder one time 20 years ago, at some point you would start to stop seeing them as a murderer. And maybe that would even correlate a little bit to sobriety. If a person is sober for long enough, maybe I guess, I don't know, but it feels like with sobriety, it's different because that instinctive drive is still there. With regards to like pedophiles or something like that, that instinctive drive is still there. So at what point is it something that you do? At what point is it just something that you are? That's kind of an inviolate, unchanging part of who you are. Not for sure.
A neurobiological genetic predisposition to get addicted to alcohol? Sure. But it is also this. It is also this. Normally, respect for reality gains the day. Nevertheless, its orders cannot be obeyed.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting notion that like reality is... I would say it's reassertive. It constantly reasserts itself. It's hard to try and stay away from it, but it's not a forced perspective. So insanity does happen, although it's not sustainable most of the time, if that makes sense.
All at once. They are carried out bit by bit at great expense of time and cathartic energy, and in the meantime, the existence of the lost object is psychically prolonged. Okay, we'll explain what this means. This is the key sentence. Each single one of the memories and expectations in which libido is bound to the object is brought up in hypercathected, and then detachment of the libido is
hypercathected. Interesting. Look that one up.
Accomplished in respect of it. Okay, what the hell does that mean? So, let's just pick marijuana. When I form a libidinal attachment to marijuana, okay, so like I'm fucking invested, like, yeah, let's go. We think that when we're sober, this is gone, but it's not gone. I'll tell you, this thing is actually 1,000 things. It's the sound of music. It is the joy of video games. And it's also different kinds of joy. It's a MOBA. It's an FPS. It's a story-based game. It's a cut.
I don't play mobile games. Mostly because it's one of those things where it feels like if you have a game on your phone or an app on your phone, even social media is kind of the same thing, where literally you'd just be talking with someone, or you're in a public place where maybe you should be talking with someone. It would be more productive to just, start up a conversation with this person who you live with or live around, and you just automatically just, and for the record, I'm stupid. I gotta stop saying for the record. Generally speaking, you might do that anyways, but it feels like having a game, having something that you can check to see for updates or notifications, just you do it reflexively. Instead of taking a harder, yet more productive, probably in the long-term alternative, meaning just talk to the people you're around, you'll just pull out your phone and start fiddling with stuff, looking up some sort of, your Twitter timeline or something like that. So I feel like generally speaking, it's just kind of, that's my self-righteous take for the day.
Scene, right? And it's different kinds of music. It's appreciating reggae.
I feel very superior to all you plebeians.
Okay. Appreciating Snoop Dogg. Appreciating maybe classical, right? And it's also feeling normal.
It's supposed to be Rastafari.
Instead of socially anxious. It's being able to lay down and enjoy falling asleep. You guys get me? What we get invested in is not a substance. It's not a joint. It's not a gummy. It's not a pill. What we get invested in is all of these experiences.
I feel like that's kind of going on what I was saying before as well. Like, it's not something where you should have that level of attachment to one thing. It's kind of like the notion of putting all your eggs in one basket, so to speak.
And there are so many of them. And so we think we've conquered the thing.
So that, like, I think the notion would be as an aggregate, those things take the place of meth, marijuana, whatever. Like, they take the place, like, altogether, they serve as a replacement for that one really intense thing that you lost. Anyways, we'll let them go a little bit longer and then we'll be done.
It's a way of life. Oh, beautifully put. It is. It is a way of living. And if it is a way of life, it is a person. It is your way of life. Then what happens is not only is, I like this, it's a way of life, because all of this stuff, when we lose it, gets internalized, this is what Freud says, into the ego. So here's the example that Freud gave with mourning. So when there's a person that we lose, and let's say we love this person and we're angry with this person, what happens is, like, we kind of polarize them. We have all the love for the lost person over here, right? Because we don't speak ill of the dead, right? Because when people die, they become saints. And so all of this...
I think when people die, they become harmless. That's maybe the better way to put it. And because they're harmless at that point, it's kind of... To be fair, they're not entire... Like, you know, people... Like, the reputation of a person can live on, and that can by no means... That can have problems for the living. But generally speaking, dead people, they're not going to really do much more damage. I mean, they're wherever they are now, so... I think that's kind of the idea behind it. Not because they're saints, per se.
It's anger towards this person.
Well, yeah. Maybe it's also respect for the living.
Person has nowhere to go, and it becomes internalized. So all of this emotional energy, which includes love and anger, they can't receive it anymore, so it actually comes into us. So when we lose marijuana, or we lose fentanyl, or we lose gambling, we lose...
Fentanyl.
We lose a part of ourselves. Like, we get tied to that loss. Like, that person is gone. That person who was riding high and on top of the world, that person is gone. So here's the tricky thing. What we need to do is something called decathexis. So this
decathexis
energy needs to be withdrawn and pulled back into us. And when we do this, we have nowhere for the libidinal energy to go. We have nowhere for the emotional investment to go. So this life is gray. You may think like, oh, when my libidinal energy is within me, does that mean that I feel fulfilled? No, it's actually not. It just has nowhere to go. So when we kind of go back to this passage for a second, they're carried out.
Sounds like a preacher.
Out bit by bit at great expense of time and cathectic energy, and in the meantime, the existence of the object lost.
There's all sorts of words here. I feel like it's head shrinkers speak, but yeah.
Object is physically prolonged. So what does this mean? This means that this process, remember this over here, so each of these happens one step at a time. So, okay, I'm going to give up MOBAs, and then I get a little bit of cathectic energy back. And then I'm going to give up FPS, and then I get a little bit back. And then I'm going to give up story-based games, then I get a little bit back. And then I'm going to give up, oh my God, feeling normal. Oh, a little bit back. And if you guys have experienced mourning, you kind of know what I'm talking about, right? Because you don't, like, the person is dead, but you mourn them in slices. I'm still mourning my dad. Because my dad, you know, he passed away the year I got into medical school, and he was so happy that I finally got into medical school, and he's like, you know, Alok, you would be a great doctor one day. And then sometimes when I, like, get accolades for the work that I do, I really miss my dad. So these things, right? So, and if you've been addicted to something, you kind of know, because, like, it's like death by 1,000 cuts. It's like this thing has changed and now this thing has changed. So I'll give you all an example. So, you know, I have a patient who's addicted to alcohol, and alcohol, it's not just giving up alcohol. It's giving up barbecues. It's giving up happy hours. It's giving up boozy vacations at all-inclusive resorts. It's giving up cruise ships. It's giving up a nice glass of wine when you're touring through Napa Valley. It's giving up when your friends travel to France and bring you a bottle from the Bordeaux region of France, and they bring you a beautiful gift. It's giving...
I don't know. Like, I feel like they say alcohol is an acquired taste. I've never gotten into it. I don't think I would like it, honestly. But I'm kind of picky when it comes to eating, and I do not think like the notion of fermented food would... I don't think it would agree with me.
Giving up going to Vegas with your boys. It's giving up having a beer at a football game. It's giving up such a large part of life.
Well, that's important to think, too. It's not just the event itself. It's not just the initial primary event, looking at the epicenter of that event, but it's also just all these tangentially related things that remind you of it or that are indirectly connected to it, I guess.
And we don't want to give those things up, right? So when Freud says the demand arouses understandable opposition, we don't want to pull back. It is a matter of general observation that people will never willingly abandon a libidinal position, not even indeed when a substitute is beckoning them. So Freud says even if you've got an alternative, you don't want to give it up. You don't want to give up barbecues and football games and feeling frisky and going to Vegas with your boys. You don't want to give all that up. Like, that's what life is. And this is the problem when we don't give it up, because then it has nowhere else to go, right? So it's hard to give up, and it has to be given up 1,000 different ways. And the most important thing is giving it up means entering this state, the state of gray, truly giving it up. And that's what needs to be done. Once that libido...
Kind of a liminal state of existence until you can complete the transfer, I guess.
Libidinal energy is back within you. Once it's truly been withdrawn, there's absolutely a gray zone. But now you can form a new connection. Now a thread can go over here, and now a thread can go over here, and now a thread can go over here, and now a thread can go over here. And
all right, leave it. We'll let him have the last word there. Good video. Go check out the rest of it if you want. Probably watched more than I should have. All right. We're going to look at Will-O-The-Wisps, and then I think we're probably going to be done. I don't know if I'm going to do the gaming thing today. I got started kind of late, so... In folklore, Will-O-The-Wisp. Or Will-O-Wisp? Will-O-Wisp? I like Will-O-The-Wisp better. Fatus, foolish flame, is an atmospheric ghost light seen by travelers at night, especially over bogs, swamps, or marshes. Phenomenon is known in the United Kingdom by a variety of names, including jack-o'-lanterns, friar's lantern, hinky punk, and is said to mislead and or guide travelers by resembling a flickering lamp or lantern. Equivalents of the Will-O-The-Wisps appear in the European folklore by various names, including Ignis Fatus, Feu Follet, and French. Oh, who cares about the French? Irlich or Irwish, Irwish, France, Dwaallicht, in the Netherlands, Fato, in Italy. Naga fireballs. Interesting. Paulding light. Interesting. I have to look that up for later. Alright. In Upper Peninsula, Michigan, spook light. Southwest Missouri. Alright. We're going to go into the... In the folklore, the Will-O-The-Wisps are typically attributed as ghosts, fairies, or elemental spirits meant to reveal or conceal a path or direction. These wisps are portrayed as dancing or flowing in static form until noticed or followed, in which case they visually fade or disappear. Modern science explains the light aspect as natural phenomena such as bioluminescence or chemiluminescence, called by the oxidation of phosphine, diophosphate, and methane, blah, 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 something decay, produced by organic decay. I don't know if I care about the etymology. Folklore. Mexico has equivalent folklore phenomenon to be witches who transformed into these lights. Another explanation refers to lights such as indicators to places where gold or hidden treasures are buried, which can only be found with the help of children. And in this one, they are called luces de dinero, money lights, or luces de tesoro, treasure lights. The swampy area of Massachusetts, known as the Bridgewater Triangle, has folklore of ghostly orbs of light, and there have been modern observations of these ghost lights in this area as well. The FIFO light, Louisiana, derives from French. The legend has it that the FIFO light is a soul sent back from the dead to do God's penance, but instead attacks people for vengeance. While it mostly takes part in harmless, mischievous acts, the FIFO sometimes suck the blood of children. Sometimes legends say that it's the soul of a child who died before baptism. Oh, sweet glory. I guess we tend to think there's an age of accountability, so at least in our Christian denomination, there's not like children go to heaven. That would be the idea in any case. Boitata is the Brazilian equivalent of the will-o'-the-wisp. Regionally, it is called boitata. Holy crap, there's a lot of names. Tupi language, fiery serpent. Its great fiery eyes leave it almost blind by day, but by night. Interesting. Save that for a project I'm working on. According to legend, Boitata, it was a big serpent which survived the Great Deluge. Left its cave after the deluge and in the dark went through the fields, preying on animals and corpses, eating exclusively its favorite morsel, the eyes. The collected light from the eaten eyes gave Boitata its fiery gaze. Not really a dragon, but a giant snake in the native boa. In Argentina and Uruguay, the will-o'-the-wisp phenomenon known as luz mala, evil light. Technically, mala is the evil part. Luz is light. They swap around their adjectives and nouns. And is one of the most important myths in both countries' folklore. Okay. For your edification, just because it seems strange, I'm not entirely sure which is actually better. Would it be better to have the noun first so you know what it's describing, or is it better to have the adjective first? I don't know. It almost does seem like it would make more sense to have the noun first and then have the adjective come after. So, with adverbs, that tends to be the way it works, right? He ran quickly. He went fast. He drove recklessly. But with nouns, he's a bad friend. Like, I don't know. I don't know why it is that way. Alright, it consists of an extremely shiny ball of light floating a few inches from the ground. This phenomenon is quite feared and is mostly seen in rural areas. It consists of an extremely shiny ball floating inches from the ground. In Paraguay, I'm thinking I don't understand how to pronounce it otherwise. Like Paraguay, would it be like Mogwais from that Black Myth Wukong? In Paraguay, the will-o'-the-wisps are interpreted in popular tradition as indicators of the so-called plata, referring to goods buried underground that are believed to have been hidden by the Jesuits after their expulsion in 1767 and during the Paraguayan War. According to the popular belief, the nocturnal appearance of a brief moving flame which travels from one place to another and extinguishes at a specific point marks the exact location where such a treasure is buried. Interesting. In Colombia, is the will-o'-the-wisp ghost of a vicious grandmother who raised her grandchildren without morals. Okay, that escalated. And as such, they became thieves and murderer. In the afterlife, the grandmother's spirit was condemned to wander the world surrounded in flames. In Trinidad and Tobago, I don't know. Socoyot, a fireball witch, an evil spirit, is a fireball witch, an evil spirit that takes on the form of a flame at night and enters the homes through any gap it can find drinks and the blood of its victims. Okay. Alaya, or marsh ghost lights, is a name given to strange light phenomena occurring over the marshes observed by the Bengalis, especially in the fishermen of Bangladesh and West Bengal. This marsh light is attributed to some sort of marsh gas apparition that confuses fishermen, making them lose their bearings and may even lead to drowning if one decides to follow them moving over the marshes. Local communities in the region believe that these strange hovering marsh lights are in fact ghost lights, representing the ghosts of fishermen who died fishing. Sometimes they confuse the fishermen, and sometimes they help them avoid future dangers. Oh, for the love. Dancing light phenomena occurring on dark nights reported from the Bani grasslands, its seasonal marshy wetlands, and adjoining desert of the marshy salt flats of Gooch. All right. Where were we? Other varieties of ghost lights appear in folklore across India, including the Chut of Northeast Asia, Northeast India, and Kashmir. Similar phenomena described in Japanese folklore, including Hitodama, literally human souls, a ball of energy. Hinotama, Aburage, Goemon Monbi. These phenomena are described as associated with graveyards. Kitsune, mythical yokai demons, are also associated with will-o'-the-wisp and with the marriage of two kitsune, producing kitsune bee, literally meaning foxfire. These phenomena are described in Korea. The lights are associated with rice paddies, old trees, mountains, or even some houses, and were called dobi bul, meaning goblin fire. They were deemed malevolent and impish as they confuse and lured passersby to lose their way or fall into pits at night. Alright, that's enough of that stuff. I might actually watch a little bit more of that Dr. K thing, and then I'll splice that back in. Maybe a nicer place to leave it, maybe. Yeah, forget it. That's all, folks. Thanks for watching. Have a good weekend, and good day.